Hello, it is time for a weekly garden vlog. Here we go. Found my little hosta that was missing previously. So I'm going to shave some Irish Spring around it because this is the one they notoriously gobble down to the nubs. So I'm going to see if we can keep that from happening this year. I don't have my tripod, so I won't be able to show you myself shaving it, but I'm just going to use this little knife and shave it, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, so this is what the soap looks like afterwards. At first I was using the back side of the knife, but then I realized if I use these little kind of serrated part, it actually worked better, almost like a cheese grater. Last year I wound up just having to put a wire cloche over it because they just kept eating it. So we will see if this helps. I was just sneezing because I'm outside and the grass is bugging me, but I'm going to turn the camera around. I haven't done a ton in the garden. You saw me put the soap shavings on my hostas, which seems to be working. Nothing's messed with them since I did that, and that was like a week ago. Anyway, I'm out in my garden, which you might remember me saying we were going to move the garden, but we got a bid on a fence for our house. $18,000 for a fence. There's several reasons. The guy explained why fencing is so expensive this year. It has to do with COVID and a forest that was supposed to be logged. So there's a wood shortage, a cedar shortage in the upper Midwest. And because of that, everyone's buying vinyl fencing, which drove the price of vinyl up. Plus there's new tariffs from China or something. I don't know exactly the whole story. Needless to say, fencing is very expensive. And this is a fence guy, and he's like, this is not the year to do a fence. He's like, you're going to overpay unless you absolutely have to do it. Don't do a fence this year. So that being said, we've kind of changed what we're doing as far as like big projects on the house this year. We're going to replace some windows that we need to do because one got damaged in a storm last year, and then we're going to bundle it with some other windows that needed to be replaced, and then we'll just start saving more money for a fence. But because of all that, I'm not moving my garden this year. I'm not taking the swing set down. The kids have actually been using it when they have friends over to hang out. So I'm like, you know what? Gives them something to do. I'm leaving it for another year. So I'll turn the camera around. So the swing set is staying put for another year, and my veggie garden is going to stay put for another year. Eventually, this wall will come out when we do get a fence, because this is like encroaching on, it's just on the property line or something. So eventually that will have to come out. But for now, I'm going to leave it. Eventually we'll move that back, and I want this all to be a strawberry patch. So what I'm going to do today is actually I'm trying to keep the strawberries contained behind this little border. There is like landscape stuff down, but they must have broken through here because they grow on like these shoots. I don't know if it's not quite a tuber, but you can kind of see that red thing? It's like a shoot that shoots out, and that's what, makes your new plants. But I'm going to see if I can transplant these, even though they're probably attached to a shoot, and move them kind of over here somewhere so that they're not in my walkway. We'll see if they take. If they don't, no big deal, but I want to try doing that instead of just pulling them up. I'm racing the rain, so I'm going to put the camera in my pocket, and I'll just show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, here's what the first one looks like. It was really easy to take up, actually. I just made sure I cut straight down, kind of cut like a little, so it got a lot of the root, and I'm going to transplant it over there. When the rain stops, I might save a few to film the process so you can see it. For now, I'm just going to put this one in the ground. Okay, the rain is just too off and on to set up the tripod. I don't want my camera getting wet, and I don't want my tripod to get wet. I'll show you how I do this. So I just go straight down like this, give it a little wiggle. I'm guessing the shooter is, or whatever you want to call it, I'm sure there's a proper name for it and I can't think of it. It's probably over here somewhere. So I'm just going to do cuts all around this little guy. Sorry for the wiggly camera. There we go. We've got it. And then I can just probably put more mulch down here. And you can see I put this chicken wire over the top of the strawberries just to prevent the birds from getting the berries, because they will have a field day if you don't do something with them. Our birds are very active in my yard. I'm actually going to move this back. It's just a little frame that I'm using to hold up my wire. Move it back to create more space so I can do some of my transplantings, and then I'll get closer to covering those. Those are new plants. They probably won't produce berries this year, but just in case. This way more of it will be covered and protected from the birds. You can see I moved the covering so that for the most part they're protected from the birds. I mean, the birds come in from the top, really. I'm trying to protect, you know, birds from coming in and landing and getting berries. So they're not going to really crawl in. They don't really do that. So anyway, this should be fine. And there it is in its new home. That's the other one. I wanted to show you also, these are all lettuce volunteers. So I grew lettuce down here and kind of around here. This had a zucchini last year. I'm not entirely sure how it got lettuce up there, but that is a ton of lettuce seed. So I'm guessing there was probably a plant that I didn't see that went to seed. And then for whatever reason, all its seeds kind of fell over here. So these are all naturally occurring. I totally need my inhaler. If you hear me wheezing, I'm gonna go inside and take that, but don't worry, it's not anything emergency related. But anyway, so that's my lettuce volunteers, and I think I'm gonna fill it with more lettuce. Why not? Clearly it's happy here, and I have to do that soon because lettuce does not like heat. So got to get it in there maybe today after the rain passes. Okay, the rain has stopped and I took my inhaler. So we're breathing, that's a good thing. Okay, normally I like to switch out my soil every year, but I do think that last year I switched the soil out when I potted zucchini in here, which didn't work well. I'm not going to do that again. But those are zinnia seeds. But because I have these volunteers, I don't really want to mess with the soil. So I might add, I have a little bit of potting soil that I brought from another area. I'm just going to add that to where I'm going to be planting my seeds, and we're just going to go with it. Lettuce isn't too finicky. I think it's going to do fine, and I just don't want to mess too much with my volunteers. So I'm just going to kind of put some of this other potting soil. So you can reuse potting soil, you know that. And one of my pots broke. It was a pot that I had filled last year, and so I just dumped the soil in here because I didn't want to waste it, and I didn't have anything new to put it in. So it should be pretty good soil still. So anyway, so I'm gonna plant more lettuce in here. I had gotten 2 kinds. It's just called salad bowl lettuce and gourmet blend. Burpee. And they both say that you can plant them outside between April and July. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. It's finally getting like consistently warmer here, you know, where it's not dropping too low at night. So, and lettuce seeds, if you've never planted them, they are very tiny. So, and you don't put them, you put them like a 1/4 inch deep. You don't put them very deep. So, I'm just reading what it says. Average soil, full sun, early spring for first crop, late summer for fall crop. Sow thinly in rows. I'm not sowing them in rows. I'm doing it in here, so nothing too technical here. And I tend to crowd my plants. Oh, I don't know. I'm not exactly a rule follower when it comes to gardening, but you know what? Nature has a way of doing its thing. So I don't know. I have pretty good success. So I'll show you. Oh, I have new gardening gloves. I should have worn them, but my hands are already dirty. But anyway, you can see they're kind of small. They look a little bit like ants. So we will go ahead and I'm gonna do, I'll kind of do rows maybe so I can kind of keep track of what's what. I'm just gonna do a little thing with my finger. And then you plant them and then you can thin them out, you know, once they start to grow. Sorry, there's an airplane in my head. So you plant them, maybe more of them than you would. You want to see how many you're going to take, and then you can just thin the plants when you need to. So there's one row, and this is the salad bowl lettuce. And these, I tend to just, I don't let my lettuce go to full heads. I just usually just like take the leaves of, you know, and just come out to the garden, pick some leaves of lettuce, and that's that. So, okay. And then I don't have a ton of room because I do. I usually plant lettuce around this border here too. So I'll probably do that, although I haven't prepared this soil outside of this pot yet. So I'm not gonna do that today, but I will make sure to put some more. I'm not gonna get too much of this gourmet blend in here just because I don't have a ton of room, but I'll use some of this when I do the border of lettuce around my little wood. You know that you can't even see what I'm talking about. So see, there's this wooden area that I kind of keep with mulch, and then I usually plant lettuce around here. That's what I was pointing at. So I will plant more lettuce around this, but I haven't prepped this soil yet, so I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to go ahead and finish putting some of this gourmet blend into my pot here. This one looks kind of similar, but it's got like white and brown ones because it's a few different kinds of lettuce. So I'm just going to do one row of these. I'm going to do what my volunteers did and kind of go around the edge a little bit. And again, I will thin these out if all of them take, you know, so that I don't have crowded plants. And just put a little dirt over them. And that's that. I'm not even going to worry about watering them because it's supposed to rain. So, whoops. Okay. So that's all for that. And even though I didn't really prep the soil here, I am still going to put some peas along the fence behind me because peas aren't too finicky either. I never prep the soil for peas because you usually you sow them pretty early, like before you do anything in the garden. Sometimes I go like right as the snow melts. Like this is even a little late for me, but so I'm going to do that along the fence, and just knowing that peas do pretty well. They don't need a lot of fussing about the soil. So I'll turn the camera though. All right, so I'm just gonna do some along the fence. I don't do a ton. It's really just, they're fun. The kids like to eat them. Sorry, there's another airplane. Lots of airplanes here in Minneapolis. So I'm just gonna plant them here, and they can climb up. They can climb up the chicken wire that I have here. I'm gonna take out any grass that's here, if I'm able. Okay, I've got my soil prepped. I kind of tilled it by hand with my little fork, and I'm just probably gonna put in I'm gonna do 2 rows, one here that I can stake to the fence, and then I'll put some of these little, they're not really pea sticks, they're much longer than they're tall, but I can put a row of those between, and then any other ones that I grow in the second row I can kind of stake to that. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. And again, I'm just using Burpee Sugar Daddy. These, I think I got them all at Home Depot. This is what they look like, peas. And these are, so you plant a little deeper, about 1 inch, so kind of just do this. And it says you want to thin them to 6 inches apart, so I'm going to plant them a little closer than that in case some of them don't come up. About 6 inches, sure. Do another row here. And these will finish up, like they don't like hot weather at all, so these will be done in the garden, and then I can pull them out and either do flowers or put a tomato plant that I get from the garden center or something. So these will not be like for the whole season. All right, I should, if I were a good gardener, mark it saying peas, but I don't have anything to do that yet. If I were a real YouTuber, I would have something cute ready to go, but I don't because I'm just a mom. Not really a real YouTuber. This is just a hobby. So I'm just showing you my life. Okay, I am going to put my little, these things in between where I know I had my 2 rows so that when the second row, the back row comes up, I have somewhere to stake them. Okay, so that's that for my peas. So I'll be able to just use some garden ties or whatever once the pea vines come up and stake them to these things so they have some support. I do like to decorate my little garden area. So last year I had this rake here with a plant hanging on it. That was cool. No hanging plants yet, but I did just put this little, I had made this like 2 years ago, just a little aluminum pitcher that I found at a yard sale for $1, and a little, like, I don't even know what this is, some kind of crystal, and I glued it with E6000 so that it looks like water. So I thought that was cute hanging there. And I think I'm gonna put a hook here and this other little vessel that I just found, and I can grow herbs in it because herbs don't need a lot of space, and then that'll look pretty there. So little by little it's coming through. I'll walk you around the rest of the garden. And this is what we just did. That's kind of the further away view of what the garden is currently looking like with my new transplanted strawberries. That's the bucket with, the large pot with the lettuce, and then there's where we just did the peas. And the rhubarb will come in and kind of block the peas a little bit, but then you harvest the rhubarb, and so it shouldn't be a problem. I had to do a lot of pruning on this shrub. I'm a little concerned about it. There was a lot of like dead, these blackened looking. So I think it has a disease. I'm not sure what's gonna happen with it. I don't know a lot about dogwoods. So we'll see. We'll see if it dies or if it lives, and it does seem like it's on both of them. I don't know if you can tell, but there's like black spots there. Sorry, that's our garbage that's about to go out. But so we'll see. I haven't actually planted anything or done anything here yet, but I did grab from my local hardware store these big easy geraniums. I just wanted a little color here. We don't really do our planting until Mother's Day, and that's not for another week. But we were having our cousins over. That'll turn up in a vlog somewhere. And I just wanted to have a little color out here. And I knew geraniums are very hardy, like here in Minnesota. They're the last things that frost over in the winter, when you're going from fall into winter. So I knew that they would be okay. So I just picked up those and I just kind of set them around, and there's some out on our back deck. This year I am going with pink and white on the front porch. Oh, the hostas are coming along. Okay, this is a lot of growth in the last like 24 hours even. I told you we had a really warm day yesterday, and I think that helped everything along. So you see the soap still, and nothing has eaten it. This is the one they usually devour. We'll see. Sometimes I put a cloche over it. I actually use the wire baskets from the Dollar Tree. Those make really good cloches to protect these, but I haven't done that yet. I don't know, I kind of don't want to have to. I'm hoping the soap will work. Maybe I'll throw some more soap shavings on them before the week starts here. Okay, and then not much happening here on my hydrangea. There's growth, but nothing major. Nothing major on my vanilla strawberry hydrangea here. Someone's coming outside. It's Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hello. Am I on the tube of you?
Yes, nice. You're on the tube now. I'm just showing them my garden. Look at his head. he walked into a tree. The lilies really I mean, I'm telling you, there was so much growth here in that one hot day. Oh, the dandelions are so bad. But here's the other side. Not as much going on here because this is this gets a lot of shade. So, and I really need to add plants to this area. But you know, limited money. We have kids in college. Plants are expensive. So I add a few each year. I think this is going to be a bigger year for me. I'm going to add more. But that's why I don't add a ton, because I don't have a lot of money for it. You know, my money goes to other things. Anyway, so that's that. There's really not a lot of change on the side here. The hostas are coming up. So the hostas are coming up nicely. This is our, if you're curious, our sump pump hose, and it goes to a little drainage thing near the street. And then I have not cleaned this out yet. I need to rake out these gardens. So I really haven't touched this at all. This looks terrible. This is my next, this is on the list, the top of the list, to take care of this garden. Okay, and I will leave you with my lilac bush, which has not bloomed yet. I actually have 2 lilac bushes, but this one is not doing well. I need to read about it, like why. Looks like it has a disease. Whoops, let's see if I can focus that for you. Nope, it's not focusing, but anyway, trust me, it looks bad. There we go. The leaves are curling. I don't know what's wrong with it. So, but this one is doing well. Come on, focus, focus, focus. There we go. All right, and that's the garden this week. Hopefully my seeds will germinate. Hopefully it does rain. If it doesn't rain, I will sprinkle them. I'll put some water on them. Not just sprinkle, but put a good amount of water on them. But I'm counting on nature here. It really does look like it's going to rain. So I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.